Good evening, everybody. I'll call to order the regular board meeting for Batavia Public Library for Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. Christy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Christy. Mary Ann, would you call the roll?
Yes. Deachman, not here. Ford.
Here.
Hubbard.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Lowe.
Present.
Russo.
Here.
Fasano here.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Number 4 on our agenda is comments from the audience. Would anyone here or online like to speak to the board tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to number 5. Would someone like to make a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as is.
Second.
Excuse me.
Motion by trustee Fasano and a second by trustee Hubbard. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda is approved. All right, moving on to number 6, items on the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda: the May 7th, 2025 special board meeting minutes, the May 20th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes, and the May 2025 financials. Would someone like to make a motion to approve or amend the approve, or I guess only approve the items in the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by trustee Ford and a second by trustee Lowe. Any discussion? I would like to make just 2 small corrections in the minutes.
Which one?
The minutes for May 20th.
Okay.
Number 4 is swear in the newly elected trustees.
Oh,
And
and Christie was.
yeah, Christie
okay.
was not able to be at that meeting.
Okay.
And then just a small thing, in number 13, the last 2 bullet points, it says OBOB update twice. And I think One Book, One Batavia
Oh, yeah.
will be more clear in the future.
Okay.
So, any other discussion about the consent agenda?
So then do we have to change the motion to say as amended?
Yes.
Who made the motion?
Nobody yet.
Nobody?
Because you amended it, so we have to redo it.
Ford originally made the motion, so we just have to,
So I move that we approve the amended agenda, consent agenda with the amendments for the,
I second that.
Motion by trustee Larson and a second by trustee Fasano. Any discussion? This is the financials, so we need a roll call, Mary Ann.
Okay. Deachman. Ford.
Aye.
Hubbard. Aye. Larson.
aye.
Lowe.
Aye.
Russo.
Aye.
Fasano. Aye.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Okay, number 7 then. New business. Approve All-American Exterior Solutions for roof replacement project.
so, sorry, let me just get to my, as it turns out, the board went, at the Cal meeting, the general consensus, which is up for discussion, sounds like this evening, but the board had discussed going with the base bid plus the, sorry, I have to get my wording here. The base bid with the alternate 1, which is the payment bonds for the base bid, and alternate 4, which was decorative copper for the vented ridge cap, and that goes along with alternate 5. So at that, with those choices, the lowest bid came in at $717,900, and that was Filato Roofing. With the second lowest bid coming in at $719,700, which was All American Exterior Solutions. However, the board noted that Filato Roofing did not include many of the required documents. And therefore, and they were specified in our RFQ, P, that these documents were required. And because they did not supply them, I talked with our attorney and he said that we can decide that they determined that they are not a responsive bidder. So therefore, it's okay to go with All-American Exterior.
Is there any occasion or any reason why the lowest bidder, who didn't follow the rules, would come back and say, we were the lowest bidder?
Well, that's why we can say they weren't the lowest responsive
Responsive
bidder,
Okay.
because they
It's a
did not supply all the documentation required
Okay.
in the RFP. I reached out to 4 of the different organizations that have used All-American for references. Only 3 got back to me, but they were all very glowing references. I spoke with someone at Brookfield Zoo, their assistant supervisor of facilities. They are finishing up a project on their ape house, doing their roof. And he said they would definitely use All-American again. The project is going smoothly with no complaints. The apes all are happy. The project is staying within budget and on time. I also spoke with Pam Leffler, who's the director at the Morton Grove Public Library. She says they're extremely reasonably priced and did great work. They're proactive in taking advantage of the weather situations. They were cognizant of potential noise issues with the public, and so they timed their work accordingly. And she said she had no qualms about hiring them again or recommending them to other libraries. Lake Forest Place, which is a retirement community, did not respond, but part of the reason that I reached out to them is because they were listed 3 times for 3 separate projects. So they kept using All-American, which I thought was a good sign. And then the New Lenox School District 122. I also was looking, when I was looking through all those references, I was looking for some of the projects were like $100,000. You know, they weren't as big as ours. So I was trying to also look for projects that were comparable to
Sizable.
ours. Yeah. And then the New Lenox School District, their director of facilities got back to me and recommends them and said they did a great job. So lots of positive feedback about All-American. And BTC also mentioned that they had not worked with them, but that they knew their reputation as being really competent and good at what they do.
Probably wonder why I called this meeting today.
Hi, have a seat. So anyway, that's the feedback that I got about All-American. So at this point, then the board would vote to approve going with All-American as the contractor for the roofing project.
One of the comments that was made in a report, I don't remember if BTC said it or you said it, about different materials for the decorative copper in place of, and perhaps they could do mock-ups. Would that be a
Oh, having them bring some samples?
Yeah.
Like they did with the shingles? I mean, we could ask them, but I think, I think you'd have to decide, well, are we asking BTC to bring the samples or All-American?
All-American.
BTC said that they could ask them, All-American, to make up those mock-ups.
To do some
But
small mock-ups.
would they ask them to do that before we technically hire them?
Well,
Or is it
I don't
after
think
we
it was
hire them?
explicit.
that was actually a question I had, whether or not we could approve that, because I was very interested in
Yeah.
seeing those. And
Where would that be?
I don't know how that would affect the contract, because
Well-
that portion of it would be unsettled.
So you
Based on
want,
the experience that I've had being on the other side of this, is we could approve the bid and the alternate bid and hire the contractor, but the alternate bid would be contingent on the markup that they would build for us. However, they may charge us for that markup, because
That was
obviously that's
going
gonna
to be the
cost
next
us
question, would they charge for that?
Yeah, I don't know how much it would cost, and we can ask them how much it would cost. But that is something that I've seen done before for various building materials and situations.
So is that
BTC.
not one of those, are you basing that on something that wasn't part of our original?
So in the comments that you had sent us from BTC.
It was from BTC, that's it.
During that discussion, he had mentioned that we could ask them if they could do a mock-up.
Yeah,
And the other thing that caught my eye is I wasn't aware that the plastic cap would be covered in asphalt shingles. So
Oh.
realistically, it's going to look like the rest of the roof.
Yeah,
And so it'll just have a small gap on the bottom where air can get under and flow, but ridge vents are very common in residential situations.
Yep.
In my opinion, 99% of people aren't gonna notice, and probably 10% of those people are gonna care. So I personally think that taking that money and putting it inside the library to impact programming would be a better impact on the community. But obviously, we can go through the process of doing mock-ups to see if there's gonna be a huge difference.
well, I'm sorry, are you referring to alternate 6, which is the copolymer ridge vents instead of the copper, or are you talking about something completely different?
I think the base bid ridge vent, so hold on, let me find the email that you had originally sent.
okay, the cost for the decorative ridge caps, alternatives 4 and 6 are big numbers. And then there's a comment about the performance between copolymer and
Copper,
copper.
yeah.
And then, further, his comment was plastic ridge vent and shingles would look fine. If you want to maintain current appearance for aesthetics and have the metal cap with scalloped edge, then these alternatives may be worth the cost.
So we don't know the cost of doing the plastic, because it
No,
wasn't,
the plastic is the base bid.
it's included in the base bid.
It's included in the base bid.
Because I'm trying to find it in, when they itemize it,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
So, yeah, basically, if we don't
Yeah.
select either of the two alternate roof options.
Then you're gonna go with the
Then we
620.
would automatically get the plastic.
Okay,
that
I
we were calling it.
gotcha.
The base.
And that plastic won't be visible, but instead it will be sheathed in the asphalt shingle, which the rest of the roof will be.
And who will notice?
No one. Well, I mean, an architect may notice it changed, and there may be people that notice it changed, but I don't think that people will say that that money would have been better spent on the roof than,
I don't know that anybody would even think to say something about the money. It would be, oh, it changed, and life would go on.
pretty much.
It's $100,000 difference.
I think $100,000 in the building would be huge.
Is it that much different?
Well, the base bid plus the alternate 1, which you have to include, is $626,200. If we go with alternate 4, which is the copper, plus those alternates, it's $719. So it's
Oh, okay.
it's a little less than $100,000 difference.
Does that include the performance bonds also?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the aluminum, the metal is a little less?
The copolymer, whatever these are.
Copolymer.
Thank you. That came in at 67,000 plus the bond, so it's about 73,700. And that is about 20,000 less than the copper.
Mhm.
So not a huge difference between those two
Copolymer
materials.
and the copper, right.
Huh.
Well, as I argued last week,
Yeah.
or 2 weeks ago, I feel a responsibility to maintain the integrity of what was designed, and I could be swayed possibly after seeing the markups, but since that's an option, I'd like to take advantage of it, especially if it doesn't, if it's not gonna cost us a lot. But, as I said last week, it actually is a major element in the roof line, and I'd like to see what what they come up with.
So bottom line, we still would go with All-American regardless.
Yes.
So we can still approve moving forward with them.
Yes.
But we can ask them to come to the COW meeting in July and bring some samples of what these various materials would look like.
And by then, they would have inspected the roof, and then we also know if we can recycle.
If there's any, yeah.
I mean, we talked about that too.
Oh, recycle the copper?
Yes.
Did
Yeah,
we bring it up?
yes,
He
he
did
did
bring
talk
that
about it,
up.
but he did say that there are labor costs because removing it and being careful about the removal
To not damage it when you
to
remove
not
it.
damage it. And if there are pieces that are already damaged, what, then.
You'd have to replace it anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
Because copper's fairly flexible, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So, and I'm not a roofer, I'm not a
Yeah.
copper person, and
Are they just replacing the shingles, or are they replacing the sheathing underneath also?
They're doing everything, aren't they?
I don't believe they're replacing
No.
the
Oh, they're not?
underlayment,
Okay.
No.
just
So-
the shingles.
Just-
I mean, because in that case, saving the copper roof might be a legitimate thing that they can do. Because the shingles should just run up to, so the copper would run underneath and the shingles would go on top of it. Provided they can remove the old shingles with minimal damage to it, it should be salvageable potentially.
So it sounds like we need to ask All-American to come out and assess everything. And then, and if they think they can salvage the copper, then we can stick with the copper that's already there and have it put back on. If they don't think they can salvage it or it's risky, then you want them to come to a COW meeting and bring samples?
actually what he says is small mock-ups.
Oh, small mock-ups, okay.
And he did say, we could ask them if they think they can remove and reinstall the copper ridge. There are costs associated with
There's-
having to work more slowly.
Right.
And salvage
It's a
the
labor,
material.
it'll be more of a labor
Yep.
expense.
It sounds like it. And the risk of damage, bending, scratching, so it may not be feasible, but we could ask.
And you want all three of the samples of the small mock-ups, the copolymer and the copper and the plastic?
I would verify that there's not a cost, because if there's a cost, I would only do the two personally.
The plastic and the copper?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other two are so close, why would
Yeah.
you pick the fake
Yeah.
copper?
And a question for them to verify, which you brought up, Chris, the copper, typically copper turns to a verdigris finish, but this has not done that. So it must have
Huh.
some kind of coating on it.
Special copper? It's special Batavia.
And that was actually something BTC
It's the
mentioned
Fermi
also,
level.
is typically it will go to like a dark brown first, and then it will
Then
go
it
to
turns
green.
green.
And so, I mean, who knows where it is in its cycle to do so.
It looks brown to me.
Mhm.
Which is really the first stage. Usually it goes green faster in my experience, but I don't know. It depends on how much copper is in it or what the coating is. But it obviously oxidized some, but it's no longer bright copper.
Okay.
So my guess,
Do you want to phrase a motion?
so I was gonna say, I think we should have a motion to approve the contract base bid with, what's it, American?
All-American.
With All-American, with a contingent on the alternate based on us being more reassured as to whether or not it would be aesthetically pleasing enough to just justify the cost.
Got it.
I don't know if that's gonna be a mock-up, I don't know if that's pictures. Because obviously, if they're gonna come back and say it's gonna be $30,000 for a mock-up,
mock-up.
then we probably won't
Yeah.
want it. But if they say it's gonna be $500, then it probably would be.
Even
worth it.
Well, do you want at the very least a sample of what the material looks
And
like?
maybe
Yes.
just pictures of the different installations.
Okay.
I mean, photos might be enough, depending on
Yep.
how visual people are. Because seeing the mock-up in front of us, nobody's ever gonna be on the roof that close to it.
Mhm.
So seeing it from a distance is probably a better
The ripple
decider.
is a nice feature.
It is a rhythm, and,
Yeah.
but I like buildings, so.
I will second Chris's very long.
What did he say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I apologize for
Well,
whoever has to write
but
it
that
down.
we go with All-American contingent on the questions we have remaining.
Well, we're definitely going with All-American.
Yes, but-
The alternate is contingent on, yeah.
Yeah.
So we do have a motion by trustee Lowe and a second by trustee Larson.
And I will paraphrase it in less than 10 words. Okay.
So we need a vote.
Is there any other discussion or any other questions? Then if everybody's comfortable with that wording, we can have a vote. And this could be a voice vote?
Yes.
So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion is approved. All right, moving on to new business. Next bullet, Library Leader Award Resolution.
I'm excited now because the money you just saved that can go to this award. It's exciting to me.
Don't get too excited.
Maybe we should do that.
And
Okay, so I will go ahead and introduce and for BATV as well. So in 2003, the library and the Board of Trustees created an award to honor individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the Batavia Public Library District called the Library Leader Award. We have gotten to the point now where we give out the award in odd number years, and that is our plan moving forward. So this is one of the years. So how the selection process works is we ask for nominees across the community, and then the recipient is selected by a library leader committee appointed by the Board of Trustees. For this year, it was me and Trustee Hubbard and Trustee Fasano. So we received 3 nominees this year, and we are proud to announce that the winner of this year is Ken and Terry Mate. So moving. So in order to recognize the award itself, the first thing we do is we're going to have the Board of Trustees approve a resolution. So I will read the resolution out loud and then we will vote on it. I put it up
You're
online.
all ready.
So, resolution recognizing and honoring Ken and Terry Mate, recipients of the Batavia Public Library Leader Award for 2025. Whereas the Batavia Public Library is proud to recognize outstanding individuals who have made a significant and lasting impact on the library's mission and service to the community. And whereas Ken and Terry Mate have demonstrated extraordinary commitment and service to the library and to the Batavia community for more than a decade. And whereas Ken and Terry Nate launched and has sustained Inclusion Game Night at the library for over 10 years, an inclusive, welcoming program that fosters community, friendship, and belonging for individuals of all abilities. And whereas Ken Nate, a gifted performer, has volunteered his time and talent as a comedian and magician, delighting library audiences and promoting joy and connection through entertainment. And whereas Terry Nate, a dedicated special education teacher with the Mid-Valley Special Education Cooperative, has contributed her professional expertise and compassionate spirit to ensure the success and accessibility of Inclusion Game Night. And whereas Ken and Terry Mate exemplify the library's mission of enriching lives, sparking curiosity, and fostering an inclusive and informed community. And whereas their contributions have created a unique and special experience for patrons, have helped advance the goals of the Batavia Public Library through sustained volunteerism, advocacy, and programming. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Batavia Public Library District hereby recognizes Ken and Terry Mate as recipients of the 2025 Batavia Public Library Library Leader Award in honor of their exemplary service and commitment to the library and to the people of Batavia. Adopted this, the 17th day of June, 2025. I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution for naming Ken and Terry Mate as the 2025 Library Leader Award.
I will second that motion.
So we have a motion by trustee Larson and a second by trustee Fasano. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Starting all over again.
And you are official.
Please, no.
Thank you so very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a really big honor, honestly.
You're surprised, yeah. Mallory
And-
called me, I thought, uh-oh.
Because I did it in secret.
You did it in secret.
We
I
really
can't believe
want to take this opportunity though right now to really applaud the library because
Couldn't have
without
done
them
it.
stepping up to host it and to provide that programming, we wouldn't have had a place that was accessible to, we wouldn't have a place to do it.
Yeah, because
So-
it's key, because we do have people that come here in wheelchairs.
We
have
do,
people that
and
and it's just to
wonderful,
load in and.
it's a wonderful room, and it's got plenty of space, and we're able to divide it, and Mallory's been amazing, Christine was amazing, you've been amazing at facilitating it, so we really appreciate the Batavia Public Library for
Right.
doing that. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, so many people have come from the area. We've known many of these people since they were children. They started in the system
big
because
deal.
we have an adult daughter that's autistic. And we were like a shock to the system coming to Batavia in '97 and watch everything change over, because people didn't have the paras, the aids.
Her teacher, yes.
Didn't have the aids the same way, like in this, and then how the early child, and you started it at that. And then at McWayne, now she's at the high school, but
So I've been a teacher in a Batavia school for 22 years. This will be my 22nd year. But I do work for Mid-Valley for the last 7 years. So, but when I left the high school and I went to an elementary school just to change the hours, I was really looking for that opportunity. There's places that they can gather and do things. However, it's usually not within their community and it's not free. Usually there's a cost to it. and
they're on
it's
the
not-
bus for an hour.
and it's not in their
Really?
community. So that is a special aspect of it, that it's in their community and it's free. And also there's been a spread too of other people trying to begin something like
Other
this as
libraries have
well.
come here to look at
So
it.
other libraries have come here to see it. And one church has started it I think once a month on Fridays or something like that, so.
Yeah, it's a
so-
Presbyterian church in
yeah.
Geneva, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just really wanted to thank you too. So thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah.
We just did a strategic planning process, and one of our specific goals is to prioritize innovative, inclusive, and responsive library programs and services to enhance lives. And you, the both of you, have certainly been a major part of doing that for our community. So thank you very much.
Sometimes we've had 40, 60 people.
A lot of people.
That's a lot for
Yeah.
one thing.
Should we go so we're not?
But in addition,
That wasn't a weird.
this is not the only part of the award. We will have a ceremony where we give out the actual award and reread the resolution that is open to the public. It will be scheduled in September, which is National Library Card Sign-Up Month. So we will work with you guys to determine the best date, and obviously we want the Inclusion Game Night community to be able to join us as well.
Appreciate it very much.
Can I say one thing though?
Board meeting, but go ahead.
I'll keep it going. I just want to reiterate this as a true statement. In 2011, no, 2012, hey, I'm talking. 2012, out of nowhere, I have a stroke. It's absolutely true. And I told you this story. Nobody knows I took out a DVD and I'm in the hospital for 3 weeks, ICU. I get out of the hospital, she takes me here to the library, I come return that DVD. I come to the desk and I tell the lady, I go, I've been in the hospital for 3 weeks and nobody knew I had this out. She goes, oh, that is so terrible. That'll be $260.
It's a true story.
It's true. Absolutely true.
Anyway, I'm at.
Because we're fine free now.
What? Wait a minute.
And we're refunding your 260.
Put it towards the roof fund.
I was gonna say, the money we saved on the roof.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you. Thank you.
I want to thank Elizabeth and the committee for the work that you did, and also thank everyone who applied. Over the years, there's been more and more interest in the award, and the decision gets harder and harder every year. So I do appreciate everyone who thinks about the library and all the people that make a wonderful contribution to it. All right, moving on.
Or just a renovation project.
Thank you. The renovation project update?
Yeah. So, we've had many iterations of the writer. I think I finally have it exactly as it's meant to be. And the final version of it is actually on your, digitally on your computers with the correct date at the top and Kane County instead of Lake County, and whatever that program is, Revit instead of AutoCAD. Yeah, so all of those changes that Chris had brought up at the COW meeting and then reminded me have been addressed. So the writer is complete. We also have which the board already looked at, which was the contract, and our attorney looked at the contract and then wrote the writer. And then this is just required my signature, which I have done, and then Daniel needs to, once you're good with the writer, he will sign the writer, and then product architects will sign the writer, and then it's done. In the meantime, Tiffany and Dan were out here on the 11th, I think, and they did a walkthrough of the building. I had sent them digital version of the blueprints, the original plans of the library when it was built, and they wanted to do a walkthrough and just see how close those originals still were to what exists.
How close was it?
Pretty close. There were a few minor changes, but it was pretty much as it showed up on there. But they did the walkthrough and just did some measuring and looked at the space and just compared it to those blueprints. And then they're coming back on the 23rd of June to meet. Kathy and I will meet with them again, and we'll, start the next phase, which I forget exactly what we're going to cover, but they'll probably give us an idea of what to expect moving forward, and a plan of action, and then I will be able to share that at the COW meeting. That's it. That's all I got. But it's starting. It's exciting.
So I don't have to read the writer for any typos tonight before I go to bed?
No, well, this was put together by our attorney, and really there was the county mistake, and then just making sure we have the correct program that the architects use.
Yeah.
But, when it comes up in the Word document, there's all sorts of underlying things, because it's all in legal speak, so it's not going to be necessarily how we would write it if it was.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. But it was provided by our attorney.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, moving on, number 9, the president's report. Just 2 quick things. One of the projects that the library has undertaken is an update of the library website. And if you go to the library website, in the upper left-hand corner, there's a survey where you can share your thoughts about the website. So if you haven't done that, that would be great if you could provide that input. And then the other thing that I'd like to mention is that Jo has completed 2 years, and we think she's coming back for a 3rd.
Are you sure?
Where's the bourbon? No, I'm just
Moving quickly on.
And it'll be at the meeting where they're not.
Okay,
present.
got it.
Number 9, director and librarians reports.
Okay. Let's see. So at the COW meeting, we talked about committees, and Daniel had suggested or recommended we do ad hoc committees. So instead of having those standards, those set committees, we'll have ad hoc. And the first ad hoc committee that we've created is for the bylaws. And that ad hoc bylaws committee which is made up of trustees Ford, Hubbard, and Lowe. We are scheduled to meet on June 25th at 3 p.m. And I will have some samples from other libraries of bylaws, and then we will have our current bylaws, and then and I'll send them to you in advance of the meeting, so you'll have time to look at them. But from that, we will think about what we need to update in our own bylaws. Let's see. I think ideally, and this goes for me too, we should probably revisit OMA training, if not annually, at least every other year or something. So you have a link that will take you to the portal where if you aren't already registered, you can register for OMA training. If you already have registered and done the training in the past, then you can sign in. If you don't remember your password, you probably can reset it. But if it would be really great if you could, it's not a webinar, it's just a click through, yeah. So, but it's 100 pages. So, but I think if you start it and you need to stop, it'll pick you back up where you left off. So you don't have to do it all in one sitting. But if you could get it done by the July 15th meeting, that would be great, so that we can start our new fiscal year with everybody revisiting the OMA training. And I will be doing it too. So, and that's that. Daniel and I, when we did our one-on-one meeting, we discussed perhaps just doing strategic plan updates or progress on a quarterly basis instead of a monthly basis. So I will be doing the next one in August, where we'll list some of the projects or things that we've done that address our strategic plan. So there's nothing in this month's board packet about the strategic plan, but we'll revisit it in August.
Is everybody comfortable with that, to have them be a little bit less
Very
often?
much so.
Okay.
Okay.
That's great. Let's see, staff updates. So we have a new hire in youth services, Kayla Johnson, who is a wonderful young lady, and she actually did, is it practicum?
Yes.
Yeah, she did her practicum here. She's getting her LTA at COD. So she did her practicum here, and she was here a couple of months at least. And she worked in different departments and spent a lot of time in youth services. And so with Jolene, who is also listed on here as retiring, she's retiring at the end of this month, we took a look at that programming, youth services programming position, and we made it a full-time position. And Kayla applied, and she was accepted, and we chose her as the new Jolene. That sounds terrible, but she is going to be our new programming associate in the youth services department, and she started yesterday, so we're very excited about that. Jolene, as I said, is retiring at the end of this month. Jolene's been here for like 17 years, I think, so it's a long time here at the library, and we'll miss her. No status changes, but anniversaries. Astrid Brown in Adult and Teen Services has been here 17 years. Ellie Carter is in the Circulation Department. She's been here 2 years. I've been here 2 years. And Kristen Zambo in Promotional Services is 3 years this month. And we did not have any donations in the month of May, so I didn't have anything to put in the board report. But we did get a couple this month, so you'll see a reference to that next month.
Okay. It says in here the bylaws committee, 6:30 p.m. for Wednesday.
Oh, on our website?
Just
On
upcoming
Your
board meeting.
notes.
In
Your
my
report.
notes?
Yeah, your
Oh,
report.
sorry. No, isn't it 3 p.m.?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, I apologize for that. Oh, in
Just so
mine it says 3
everybody knows.
p.m.
Don't look at that.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that the website is correct and that we have the meeting room, we have this room reserved for 3 p.m. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying, in upcoming board meetings. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, okay.
Which date are we looking at?
That is the 25th, 3 PM. Sorry about
Okay.
that. So those are, the upcoming meetings is the bylaws committee on the 25th at 3 PM, and then we have another committee of the whole board meeting at 6:30 on July 2nd, which is a Wednesday. We changed the date because of the holiday. And then the regular board meeting is on Tuesday, July 15th. And I will ask All American to come to the July 2nd board meeting with
Committee meeting.
Committee of the whole, July 2nd. Committee,
Yes.
yes, ask All American to come with either mock-ups or samples or something.
Or pictures.
Sorry?
Or pictures. Or
Yeah, something like that. But ideally, they would come at the July 2nd board meeting. Committee of the whole meeting. And that's all I have. Oh, and then we can go into our stats, which is page 29 in your packet. Or you can click on it on your Chromebook. Overall, you know, our circulation is up from this time last year by 9% for physical items, 14% for e-resources. So overall, our circulation is up 10% from this time last year. Our reciprocal borrowing went down with Aurora and St. Charles for some reason, but Messenger went way up and Geneva also went up. So in terms of, for the fiscal year, from July through May of 24 compared to 25, all of those numbers have gone up. Physical items went up 5%, e-resources 20, with their total circulation increasing 8% from last year. So that's all exciting and good. For our SWAN, we always have more outgoing than we have incoming, but those are our numbers there. And then our non-SWAN, that's any library that's not part of our SWAN consortium. We have a lot more outgoing than we have incoming. We had 100 new resident cards added in May. It seems like the magic number. It's always like 100 every month. So for fiscal year 25, we've had a total of 961 new library cards issued so far, and then we still have 1 month to go. Let's see. Our library visits are up 6% for the month of May of 2025 compared to May of 2024. And if you look at year to date between those two fiscal years, our library visits are up 18%. So I think we've crawled out of the COVID haze, and our numbers are getting back to normal. And study room usage is also up 9% from last year. And then we had quite a few adult programs. So we have our active and passive programs listed separately. And we had, if you want active youth attendees, 6,614. That's a lot. That's year to date, sorry. But it is 1,429 for active youth attendees. Was that partly summer reading kickoff, do you think, Lisa?
Sorry.
Oh, I was just looking at how our active youth attendees is like 1,429. Is a part of that because of summer reading kickoff?
Yeah, and visits and things like that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. So we did the total number of programs in May was 55, and total attendees was 2,943. So that's people who participated in programs for all age, from birth to seniors in the month of May. Our databases went down, but we had like a really weird surge.
They may not have.
Oh.
We weren't, I don't know why, every other month it seems different databases just make it really hard to access the reports.
Yeah.
When we need them for this, and then we fill them in later once we can get back in, but.
Right.
So some are missing.
Fair.
We made 10 home delivery, we made 10 visits we visited 10 different sites for home deliveries with 286 items circulating through those 10 visits. And our Website homepage hits have gone down a bit, but page views went up, which tells me that even though fewer people might be visiting the website, they're looking at more pages. And then Facebook went up 8% in terms of followers, Instagram went up 15%, and even though we aren't actively using TikTok, it still went up 13%. So that's it for stats. And now with our working budget, just want to note that our total material expenses is just under 70%, and that's a little low, I think, for several reasons, but one of the biggest is because Baker and Taylor has not been supplying us. There's a backlog, for some reason, of a lot of print materials through Baker and Taylor. And this has been happening with libraries all over. And so we are looking into another vendor. It's called Ingram. I was going to say Instagram, but it's Ingram. And because they seem to not have as many problems for some reason getting materials. So we are transitioning into using Ingram and then having Baker and Taylor as like a backup. But we're currently still purchasing through Baker and Taylor. Plus, we don't get billed until the items actually are delivered to us. And so with all that backlog, we hope to see a bunch of stuff coming in June, and then that number,
Then all of a
that
sudden,
should really,
that
yeah. But we do put a spending freeze on staff in June so that we don't get billed for a bunch of stuff in fiscal year 26 that should have been covered in our fiscal year 25. Yeah.
Okay.
So we slow things down quite a bit in June. And then our total personnel expenses, we're at about 83%, which is a good place to be in when you're 11 months into the fiscal year.
Correct.
And our operating expenses are just under 70%, and with one to go. And then technology and equipment is around 63%. And then our total library fund, all of expenses for our total library fund is just under 80%, which is a healthy place to be in the 11th month. And then we budgeted for a transfer into special reserves for this fiscal year of $750,000. But if you'll recall, when we were talking budget stuff last month, Don anticipates we'll be able to transfer $1.2 million into special reserves, which will go towards the roof and our renovation project. And let's see, so to date, the ending fund balance of our special reserve fund is $5.2 million. And then you add in that 1.2, we'll have well over 6 million in special reserves. And then we anticipate being able to transfer probably another $1 million at the end of fiscal year 26, which will go towards the renovation project. So it's a nice healthy amount to cover our roof project and our renovation project.
Oh geez, with all of that, we should do gold.
Well, I was going to say that we're also ensuring that we have maintenance funds for the future in addition to the building project. So it's not just hoarding a big amount of money, but we're really covering two things, the renovation as well as ongoing expenses, which are anticipated in the capital asset study.
As well as being able to put money away for the future in 20 years to where they can do another project.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Don used to give us, and so did Joe before you left, the individual payouts to the companies.
Oh, like the checklist?
Yes.
Oh, I guess it's not in here? That was just, Don's actually on vacation, and I did not
That's
notice that.
probably
We can email it to you as separately, but that would have been in the consent agenda.
I just didn't know if that stopped or.
No, I think that was just an oversight.
Okay.
Yes. We're still getting used to Diligent, and it might not have been uploaded properly with the other stuff. And Danielle is also not here tonight, but we can email that to the board. Okay, so I'm done. And, and now I can turn it over to Megan.
Okay, so as Joe mentioned, we had a really strong programming month in ATS in May. We had 1,179 people attend 25 in-person programs. We had 100, which is rare for adults and teens. We had 160 people participate in 3 passive programs. We had 23 people attend 3 virtual programs. And we had 149 people attend 1 all-ages program, which was that summer reading kickoff event that was mentioned. I honestly think that's an undercount. We went by counting how many ice cream bars and popsicles went out because it's very hard to track people coming in multiple entrances in the garden, but and not everyone took an ice cream. So I'm guessing we really reached more people than that, but that was our safest bet on the numbers. One of the reasons we had such a strong programming month is because we actually had 2 fairs that we did with local groups as partnerships. So we had at least, and all of these were a little tricky to get accurate numbers on. So we had at least 416 people come to the volunteer fair that we did in partnership with the Batavia Chamber of Commerce. So that was a huge success again. We did that last year with them and we did it again this year, and we really hope to keep that going strong because it seems to really reach a lot of people, and it's great to have all those fantastic organizations here as well. And then we had a senior health and wellness fair with Triad, which is another great local organization, and that had at least 247 attendees come, and so they were able to meet with all types of organizations that can help seniors with their health and wellness needs, and they had a screening for people outside that could check, they could do a screening on their kidneys, their blood pressure, and I believe a lung check of some capacity. But so people were able to get on a nice little bus outside and do that as well. So that was another great event that we were really happy to hold in May. Our teen librarian, Mallory Manning, had some school visits where she interacted with 105 students at Batavia High School and 92 students at Rotolo Middle School. That was in advance of summer reading, which is off to a really strong start. Our registration, as of the time that I sent these numbers in, had already surpassed last year's registration for the whole program. So it's going very well so far. People seem to be very excited with all the great coupons that they can get from all the local companies, and they're also excited, I think, just with the 3rd round prize options too. So we're really excited to see such enthusiastic readers. We donated 75 large print books that were being removed from the collection to help create a small library for residents at Arden Court's Memory Care Facility nearby in Geneva. So those now all say, donated by the Batavia Public Library, and it's there for them to be able to use and enjoy. And we also donated 80 books to create a small library in the psychiatric inpatient unit at Northwestern Medicine Central DuPage Hospital, because they had noticed that they had a lot of patients who didn't have anything nice to read while they were there. So we took another batch of books that were getting removed from our collection to help them out. And as always, our puzzle exchange books between Bites and Sundays on Stage remain popular. Special shout out to Trustee Hubbard for making Books Between Bites such a success. All of those programs had over 50 participants in attendance.
I'm the only one that pled during the presentation.
Yeah, and luckily no patrons were injured, just the presenter that day, I guess. So we had a really strong month. And then for collections, as Joe mentioned, we are in the process of setting up Ingram accounts with a lot of help from Stephanie DeYoung, getting all the back end things in place for us to be able to meet our patron demand and keep up with such great circulation. So it's been a busy month for ATS, but a happy one.
Thank you.
And now Liesl with Youth Services.
All right, well, as noted in my report, May is generally a slower month for us, and the reason for that is you end up with families with a lot of end of the school year activities. The nicer weather gets people outside, and if we're being honest, we're very busy with preparing for summer reading and going out to the schools and promoting the summer reading challenge. So not a lot of programs in May to report on. A couple of highlights here. We've been partnering with the Department of Public Works for a while now in May. They have the Public Works Week, and we have a story time with them every year. So Director of Public Works, Andrea Pedraza, came out. She read some stories. You'll see a picture there of her seated in the chair reading to the kiddos. And then they bring a snowplow, and you might be wondering, well, why a snowplow in May? The answer to that is it is the clean truck that they can spare because the other trucks are out busy doing their thing that they need to be doing in the spring. So it was a lot of fun, and very fun thing about the snowplow is it had all kinds of fun flashing lights and features. So the kids have a lot of fun checking it out, and I think our friends from Public Works have just as much fun watching them check everything out. So it was a good time, and the weather was lovely. We really lucked out, and we appreciate their partnership on that. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, our school services librarian, Amy Marks, is to be commended. She puts her all into our Summer Reading Challenge promotional visits. She had a lot of solo visits this year just because we were a little short-staffed. She saw over 2,900 elementary students. That includes our public schools, our couple of parochial schools, and Rotolo Middle School. So, wow. Yeah. She also had the really great idea this year of trying to get the kids even more engaged, and she came up with the idea of golden ticket, think Willy Wonka, and so she worked with the teachers in each presentation to identify 6 students who they thought were paying the best attention, and then those students came up at the end of the presentation and answered a question, and if they got it right, they won a golden ticket, which entitled them to an extra prize wheel spin. So when kids sign up for summer reading, they get a spin of the prize wheel, which, as you might imagine, is super popular. So to get an additional one is like huge. And this year, the first 2 weeks of summer reading were especially busy, and I think that is probably greatly attributed not only to Amy's visits, but the golden ticket program. So needless to say, we will be repeating that next year. When you find something that works, you keep doing it. But again, shout out to her. Couple of other notes, because it was kind of a slow month for us, we tend to focus on things that are kind of low key. So we had a coloring day, we had a Memorial Day craft, some things that folks can kind of drop in and do throughout the course of a weekend day. And then, as Megan mentioned, we had the Summer Reading Challenge kickoff. We tried something a little bit new this year and had it on a Saturday. We did have a little less attendance than last year when we had it on a Friday morning, but we wanted families and working folks to be able to come. We're working towards trying to have these events be all library versus just a children's focus. So we had all kinds of entertainment. Chris Facione came and did some storytelling and then some juggling. We had a face painter. We had a wonderful young man, Hugo's Elvis, who did all kinds of Elvis songs over multiple decades. He was phenomenal. It was a shame that we didn't have more adults there to enjoy it, but those of us that were there did enjoy it, and he was incredibly gracious. So we also want to thank Raising Cane's. They donated some lemonade for the events, and we had some dilly bars and bomb pops from Dairy Queen, which are a huge hit. So, and also a shout out to the Friends of the Library. They graciously funded some oversized lawn games, which we also had at the event. So a lot of fun for that, and you can see all kinds of fun pictures from it. Summer Reading Challenge is going swimmingly so far. Right now, we actually have surpassed last year's registration numbers as of this time. We have 1,523 kiddos registered, and of those, we have about 899 readers that are active, meaning they've at least logged 1 day of reading. It is a little lower than last year because we have a lot of kids that have opted for a paper log versus digital. We've been trying to be flexible. Not everybody wants to use the technology, and especially for our young friends, a paper log where they can color something in or cross it out is a little bit more age appropriate. So when those paper logs come in, we'll be logging them, and I'm confident that those numbers will not only match last year's participation but exceed it. So doing very well. We still have quite a bit of a ways to go, but we're very excited at the participation we've had so far. And then in May, we had our last couple of visits from Batavia Nursery School and Mill Creek Cooperative toddler classrooms and preschool classrooms. They visit us throughout the school year, and then they take a break over the summer. So we're looking forward to welcoming them back in August and September. And then a few other little notes. Dramatic play for the month of May was a puppet show. So we had puppets out, we had little popcorn boxes, and they had fun kind of putting on shows and selling tickets and whatnot. And our passive activity for the month was rebus puzzles, and if that's not a term you're familiar with, basically it's a representation of words or syllables that uses pictures. And I have a little picture there that admittedly is not great lighting-wise, but gives you a sense of what those were like. And I think the adults had almost as much fun as the kids in figuring these out. And it's really a sneaky way of working in some early literacy. And that's pretty much it from youth services. Any questions?
I just want to say again how thrilled I am with your services downstairs. You know, we had our grandkids for a long time. And,
How long was it?
10 days. But anyway, we made 3 visits to the library, and they were so, your little stage down there with the lemonade is so engaging for little kids. And there were other children down there, and they were all playing together. And we killed a lot of time. So, not to mention the librarian that helped my 3-year-old granddaughter check out 19 books about rainbows and superheroes. So yeah, but you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you so much. I have a wonderful team. Can't take all the credit, but yes, wonderful, creative, and engaging team. So thank you so much.
And with both of you, the school outreach is so wonderful for making that transition to summer reading and keeping the learning going and fun at the same time. It's wonderful, and the outdoor program looked really nice. So, all right. Our next item is to adjourn to closed session. And the reason for the closed session is the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body. So that's the reason why we're going into closed session. When we reconvene into open session, we do expect to take action. But for people who are leaving, I'll mention that our upcoming meetings are July 2nd for the Committee of the Whole, and that's a Wednesday, which is out of our normal routine, and then a regular board meeting on Tuesday, July 15th. Do we need a motion to go into closed session?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to go into closed session.
I
Second.
actually have one thing, it's just the roof, that we have a flat roof, and 3 different times we've had leaks in that flat roof. And it's all due to the drainage that's on the drainage pipes. Somehow they got knocked off during the process of doing the roof. So if we can put something in our contract that says those have to be aligned and make sure they're checked out, or,
I don't know how that works on our roof.
I couldn't hear what Chris said.
So, Christy was talking about that there's drainage pipes on her flat roof that get knocked out of alignment and causes leakage.
Yeah, ours are permanently attached on the roof, you can't knock them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't that have been something spotted when they, BTC did a review of the roof?
And we have regular maintenance checks on our roof
Okay.
too, and we had one not that long ago, I think.
Yeah, they were just
It was
here.
before the storm, but it wasn't
Right.
that long ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
did we have any leaks during the storms? I
No.
mean,
That's good news.
Good.
Okay, so we have a motion to go into closed session, and we need a second.
I did. Second.
Motion by trustee Russo and a second by trustee Hubbard. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll go into closed session in just a few minutes. Pretty good. At 8:25, we're back into open session. And
Call the roll.
yes,
Deitchman, Ford,
here.
Hubbard. Here. Larson.
Here.
Lowe.
Present.
Russo.
here.
Fasano. Here.
And would anyone like to make a motion?
Yes. I move to approve the salary increase that the board discussed in closed session on June 17, 2025.
for the director.
For the directors. Yeah. Salary increase for the director that the board discussed in closed session on June 17, 2025.
I will second that motion.
Motion by trustee Fasano and a second by trustee Larson. Any discussion? Then Marianne, would you do a roll call?
Sure. Deishman. Ford.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Larson.
Aye.
Lowe.
Aye.
Russo.
Aye.
Fasano, aye.
Thank you. Then I will make the motion to adjourn.
I second.
So a motion by trustee Russo and a second by trustee Ford. We don't have to discuss that one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.